Kamala Harris conceded the 2024 presidential election, marking the end of an intense and historic campaign. On Wednesday, November 6, the vice president, now 60, reached out to President-elect Donald Trump, who at 78 had once again secured the presidency, to offer her congratulations and formal concession. This momentous phone call, confirmed by a senior aide of Harris, represented not only the conclusion of her campaign but a moment of national importance, as she stressed the value of a peaceful and respectful transfer of power. In that conversation, she shared her hopes for the nation and urged for unity and progress, expressing her wish that Trump would work to be a president who would strive to represent and advocate for all Americans. For Harris, a public figure who has represented multiple historic firsts in American politics, the call was a significant one. Her candidacy had embodied the aspirations and dreams of millions who looked to her as a symbol of representation, hope, and progress. Her campaign had served as a rallying point for many Democratic supporters who had seen her rise from Attorney General of California to U.S. Senator, then Vice President, and finally as the Democratic Party's candidate for president. Her historic bid underscored her position as not only the first female vice president but also the first black person and the first person of Indian descent to hold that office. Harris's defeat carried with it complex emotions for her supporters: disappointment, resilience, and a deep respect for her contributions to the political landscape. This concession symbolized both an ending and a reminder of the long journey she had traveled and the path she had paved for future generations of leaders. Scheduled for later that day was Harris's public address to the nation. She would speak from Howard University in Washington, D.C., the historically black university where she earned her undergraduate degree. Howard had always held a special place in her heart, being not only her alma mater but a foundation for her understanding of the world, social justice, and the challenges faced by marginalized communities. Her address would not just be a concession speech but a call for unity, courage, and the continuation of democratic values. The choice of Howard as the venue was more than symbolic. It was a powerful reminder of her roots, of the resilience of historically black institutions, and of the essential role that diversity and representation play in American democracy. The audience anticipated hearing from Harris not only as a candidate conceding defeat but as a leader urging the nation to keep striving for the ideals she had fought so hard to uphold. This was not the first time Harris had stepped into the national spotlight as a pioneering figure. When she first announced her presidential campaign on July 21st, her candidacy had sparked enthusiasm and hope among Democrats, many of whom were looking for a new leader after President Joe Biden decided to step aside. Biden, then 81, had made the critical decision to endorse Harris as his successor in the race, which set off a surge of support across the Democratic Party. Biden's endorsement was more than a passing of the torch. It was a moment of solidarity and a gesture that affirmed Harris's position as the face of the party. Reflecting on his choice to select her as his running mate back in 2020, Biden had expressed his admiration and respect for Harris, emphasizing their shared commitment to fighting for the future of the country. "My very first decision as the party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as my vice president. And it's been the best decision I've made," Biden wrote on X, formerly Twitter. His message continued with a rallying call: "Today I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee for our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this." His statement encapsulated the urgency felt within the Democratic Party to maintain unity and resilience in the face of an upcoming election battle against Trump, who had remained a polarizing and divisive figure. Upon receiving Biden's endorsement, Harris was quick to respond with humility and determination. In a statement shared by the Biden campaign, she expressed her gratitude, calling the president selfless and patriotic, and pledging her commitment to earn the Democratic nomination and the presidency. She acknowledged the significant task ahead, saying, "I am honored to have the president's endorsement, and my intention is to earn and win this nomination. Over the past year, I have traveled across the country talking with Americans about the clear choice in this momentous election. And that is what I will continue to do in the days and weeks ahead. I will do everything in my power to unite the Democratic Party and unite our nation to defeat Donald Trump and his Extreme Project 2025 agenda." Her statement underscored the central themes of her campaign: unity, democratic integrity, and opposition to the regressive policies she associated with Trump's administration. Her words reflected the weight of the responsibilities she carried as a candidate and the gravity of the choice she presented to the American people. Following her official announcement, Harris's campaign picked up speed as she quickly amassed the delegates needed to secure the Democratic nomination. Within days, her position as the party's nominee was solidified when she garnered the 1,976 pledged delegates required to win the nomination at the Democratic National Convention. Her achievement was a momentous occasion, one that was celebrated by her supporters as a landmark victory for representation, resilience, and diversity. Her campaign's message resonated deeply across a broad spectrum of voters, and her historic nomination as the first woman of color to lead a major party ticket served as an inspiration to millions. Shortly after winning the nomination, Harris chose Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate, reinforcing her commitment to a balanced and pragmatic approach to governance. Walz, with his background in state leadership and focus on issues such as healthcare, education, and rural development, complemented Harris's platform and brought regional representation that helped her campaign appeal to a diverse electorate. Throughout the campaign season, Harris's bid for the presidency was marked by moments of both triumph and challenge. Her presence on the trail was a testament to her dedication, as she traveled across the country, engaging with communities, listening to concerns, and articulating her vision for a more inclusive and just America. She spoke on issues ranging from climate change and economic reform to healthcare and education, underscoring the stakes of the election and framing her candidacy as a fight for the soul of the nation. Her platform emphasized key areas where she believed progressive policies could make a tangible difference in the lives of everyday Americans. She championed plans to combat climate change, expand healthcare access, protect reproductive rights, and address systemic inequalities that affected communities across the nation. Her policy positions aimed to bridge the gaps in American society, addressing issues often left in the margins by conventional politics. Harris's campaign also focused heavily on countering what she termed the Extreme Project 2025 agenda of her opponent. She highlighted the dangers she saw in a potential second Trump term, arguing that his policies would set back civil rights, environmental protections, and democratic norms. Project 2025, as she characterized it, represented a stark departure from the values she believed Americans needed to uphold, and she worked tirelessly to frame her campaign as a bulwark against that agenda. She spoke about the risks of further polarization and the erosion of democratic institutions, emphasizing the importance of voting not just as an act of individual choice but as a collective stand for shared values. Harris's words resonated with many who feared the repercussions of a return to Trump's leadership, and her message of resilience and resistance gained traction among those who viewed her as a voice of stability and hope.